I must admit that for the average smartphone user, the people that are using normal smartphones, normal slab style smartphones, most people probably don't do the split screening thing all that often, having one app here and another app up here. I'm sure some people use it, but it's not, I don't think, a very popular feature that everybody's using all the time. And I think that sort of a derivation of that is the idea of running the same app twice. So you're actually split screening, but both apps are the same app running concurrently, two independent instances of that one app. Now, if you're using something like a Z Fold, which is definitely much better at split screen multitasking, or if you're using something like a Surface Duo or Duo 2, which is even better than that at split screen multitasking, perhaps that begins to make some sense. In my use case, I've used two instances of the same browser. How about two instances of a PDF viewer? You're looking at, at one document, comparing it to another document, but you're not having to use two separate apps. It can be two instances of the same app. What about something like Pokemon Go? Maybe you're a big Pokemon Go player and you have two accounts that you're playing on at the same time. I know people that do this. There are reasons, maybe not so much on this, but there are reasons on something like this to want to do this kind of stuff. And it appears that Google is on board. We have an article here from 9 to 5 Google, Android 14 DP1, that's developer preview 1. You may be saying to yourself, Shane, Android 14 is not out. Yes, this is a developer preview of Android 14, and it is prepping cloned apps to easily duplicate apps. Now, I've talked about on this channel already at least one alternative, an app you can download to do this sort of thing. Now, although it's not actually in the Play Store, and people get a little bit nervous with this kind of stuff. It's a third-party thing that, like I said, maybe isn't as streamlined and nice as something like this would actually be. So it's interesting to see, of course, Google trying to just do this themselves in their own operating system, making this a built-in feature. If we scroll down here, they wrote, with Android 14 Developer Preview 1, we found Google is prepping an official way to clone apps without needing any third-party apps or even a work profile. Instead, you'll be able to head to the new cloned apps menu and select which Android apps you'd like to duplicate. So this is very clean. This is very streamlined, and I think can be very, very useful. Now, notably, Google and other manufacturers of Android 14 devices are able to choose the apps that are not allowed to be cloned. In the case of Google Pixel phones, Google is blocking many of its own apps from being cloned, including apps like YouTube and YouTube Music. So that's less cool. It'd be really neat if this was just clone whatever you want, but of course there will be restrictions on this. So perhaps, unfortunately, it could be the reality that you get this on your device and the one app you really wanted to clone isn't clonable and you wind up having to use a third-party app anyways. Although I will tell you that the third-party app I've typically used, which is literally just called App Cloner, it already has some problems with compatibility, right? Some things you want to clone just don't actually launch or they crash and things are wrong with them. So it's probably going to be going from like an okay solution to a slightly more okay solution when this is actually built into Android. Now, I should point out that sometimes things pop up in these previews that don't actually make it to the official release when that time comes. So don't put all your eggs in this basket. Don't expect 100% that this is going to be there when Android 14 does come out. However, as we do push closer and closer to the Pixel Fold's launch, which is supposedly going to be sometime this fall, and more emphasis is put on large screen devices and multitasking on these devices in particular, this functionality does make more and more sense. So it would kind of surprise me if Google, and seeing that they're working on this stuff, if they didn't actually continue working on it. And I really hope that it does actually happen when Android 14 does launch, because it's going to be very, very useful for people like me that use the sorts of devices that I use. Let me know what apps you would like to be able to clone, what kind of workflow you could see yourself getting into using a built-in application like this. I'll drop a link in the description to the video that I made prior to that App Cloner application showing how that thing worked, in case you want to check this out ahead of time and see what this might be like as we wait for Android 14 to come out. Hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on more content just like this. Check out my channel partner, Mint Mobile, in the description down below to save a ton of money on your cell phone bill every single month. Guys, I will see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.